All right, everyone, let's trim up this brisket for tomorrow. So again, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to use Barbecue Mafia's new steakout and OG steakout. We've got this big brisket just here. We'll go for a full backyard barbecue style brisket on this one. Of course, I'm not feeding myself, so gloves it is, and let's crack into it. Thankfully, I've got the large Australian brisket board. As you can see, this brisket fits beautifully. Has a nice big channel down the side, fits about 1 litre of water as well, or juices. So it's going to be great not only just prepping this brisket, but tomorrow when we're going to be cutting the brisket as well, after cooking it or slicing it. Yeah, beautiful, good playing space. Let's get started on the trimming, eh? So there's a bit of just offcuts around the side here, so I'm just going to take some of that off. I kind of want to leave this part on here, but at the same time, I have a feeling that it's just not going to cook well. Let's flip her over and have a squiz, shall we? And I'm going to try the Black's barbecue method. I don't know if any of you have actually seen that before. They'll smoke it to about 75 Fahrenheit, give or take. I don't know, 165 Fahrenheit, 75 Celsius. I think that's roughly the conversion. Then they'll take it off, they'll steam it, they'll actually put it in the fridge overnight, or up to 48 hours, so that way it sort of resettles itself, and then they'll finish the cook the next day. Cool. All right, let's season her up. We'll do the top after. We'll start on the underside, shall we? We're going to start with the base coat of the new steakout from Barbecue Mafia. This one's a fair bit more coarse than the OG, and it seems a bit more pepper heavy as well. Just going to season this brisket. Again, it's a huge hunk of meat, so you don't really need to worry about over seasoning it too much. And also don't forget, as John from Aussie Q would say, pat, don't rub, save that for the bedroom. I'm now just going to hit it with the OG steakout. Again, this one's a lot more fine, has a fair bit more, I believe it's activated charcoal in there, so just helps give it that nice black finish that we all love on barbecue. But let's go and hit it with a layer of this. It's a lot more fine, helps fill in a lot of those gaps. Pretty content with that underside. I'll re-get the sides after we flipped it and done the front, or the top. I feel like a nice backyard barbecue style really talks to my style of barbecue, as opposed to proper competition or proper service style barbecue where it's completely trimmed up. One last hit again of the OG. That is going to be one bloody good brisket. So those who haven't done a brisket before or eaten brisket before, brisket's typically talked about being in 2 separate cuts. You've got the flat and then you have the point as well. So the flat is a leaner cut of meat. Typically, if you've had brisket before in the past and it's been relatively dry, it's likely to have been from this section of the brisket. There's a lot less fat. Obviously, there's still a lot of intramuscular fat, muscular fat, but there's no fat seams running through it or anything like that. So you're really relying on whatever's on the fat cap to do the job. It's also a thinner piece of meat. Then we come to the point. So the point being a thicker piece of meat, it's got a huge fat seam running straight through the guts of it as well. It's just generally a fattier portion of the brisket. It's by far my favorite, and it's most people's favorite, as long as that fat's been rendered down appropriately. But that's the brisket. Hold her up, have a bit of a squiz. Beautiful. Again, I am glad I have this large Australian brisket board. Fits this whole brisket perfectly. But we're going to go over and we're going to get ready, get the barbecue ready, and we'll slap her in for tomorrow. Time to put the brisket on. So we've got the Weber kettle set up here. We're using the snake method, and we've also got a deflector plate and a water pan sitting in there as well. So just going to take the lid off. Currently it's sitting at around about 230, 240 Fahrenheit, give or take. Cool, so I'm going to put the brisket just in here, as far up against this side as I can. Don't quite want it touching the edges, so I've got my snake running all the way around. Excuse the car driving past. I've got the snake running all the way around. Currently this is where the hot spot is, and I've got 2 chunks of iron bark sitting in there as well. I'm using olive pip charcoal today, or olive pip briquettes. This gives a nice sweet smell, and it's definitely my favourite briquette to use. But also got the deflector plate, as I said, and a water pan sitting in there. So that way this brisket ain't going to cop too much of that direct heat. I'm now going to put the lid on, and I'm going to make sure that the vent is going to sit on the opposite side. The smoke's going to roll all on over. Got this vent fully open, bottom vent's mostly closed. Slap that lid on. Now that smoke is going to come from this side, it's going to roll over the meat itself and up out through the funnel. If I start to lose control of my temperature, I'll start to close that down, but other than that, I'm going to leave this open throughout the whole cook and just rotate it every now and then, because that's where a hot spot sits. But we'll come back and check on this in a couple of hours.